Yeah. Hello, everybody. This is Sandai. Now I will talk about something that is very interesting. This will be a pointless rumbling, pretty much. I don't think I'll say anything smart here, but I just want to speak out. Probably you have opinion, probably you have experience, probably you can share something with that, probably you can relate to that. So what I want to talk about is that in short, I'm obsessed with perfection. I don't know where this comes from. I really don't know, but I am so deeply afraid of making a mistake that it can put extreme anxiety and stress on me. This is very hurtful, and I hate that. But and I have this all my life. Uh, I'm an engineer, so I always strive for perfection. That's just a. By the way, I always say that the perfection does not define you, but it's the other way around. I definitely believe that the person who you are defines you, and then you choose some perfection that is the closest to that. So when you talk about like you're an engineer, you're a cop, etc., I think that's the nature of your personality. Even if you would not be a cop or an engineer, you would pretty much do the same things in your life. And anyway, what I was talking about, what I want to tell you is, I'm obsessed with perfection. That means I I'm very much scared and very much afraid of making a mistake. I'm very much afraid to have a flaw. I have difficulty accepting anything that's imperfect, which is very sexy if you think about it, because everything is imperfect in this world. Like there's no perfect things in this world. Probably the closest thing to perfection in this world is nature. If you look at a, that's always amazing. By the way, if you look at just the shape of the snowflake and the shapes around nature and the colors, and so I think that's just absolute. That's by the way, I love when we talk about how evolved humans are with our computers, and we tamed electricity, which is basically part of the nature, electromagnetic fields, etc., and computers and quantum computers and blah blah blah, smartphones, communication. These are all fascinating. Okay, these are all good, but all the inventions, all the innovations of humans compared to nature, it's just zero. It's nothing. I'm an engineer. Okay, I've been working with engineers all my life, uh, and it's a joke if I call myself an engineer uh, compared to nature. I think we're just kids messing around. That's what I think. And sometimes we get things right, but most of the time we get things wrong. But anyway, I don't know why I'm obsessed with perfection. I try to get rid of this uh, this self-imposed attribute that I have. I don't think I can, but I am fighting it. I remember when I was doing a lot of engineering. By the way, when I'm talking about engineering, I talk about computers and IT engineering. When I used to work, and I've done amazing things, and most people thought that I'm just such a great guy that everything I do is perfect. And the truth was that uh, I couldn't be farther from the truth. That couldn't be farther from the truth. Actually, the reason why I made I barely made a mistake because I was so scared of making a mistake that I checked everything 5 times at least before I said, okay, now this is kind of all right. I'm not saying it will be 100%, but I'm saying it's kind of all right. So again, that's the worst feeling ever when you do something and it turns out to be flawed, when it turns out to be imperfect. And the reason why this is embarrassing because I am flawed, and I'm a flawed human being with actually I have more bad attributes than good attributes. I'm a very uh, mm, it's interesting that I also have the obsession of talking. Like why I don't let myself think. Just I have to talk. This is interesting, by the way. I'm learning this relationship with the camera, so this is quite new to me. But I don't know if I'm like this in the real world. I think I am. When I'm alone, I think way more clearly. By the way, when I have to communicate with someone, that's a totally different message. That's a totally different communication, and that's a totally different thought process for me. When I'm alone, that's the clearest possible way of thinking for me. Anyway, so I'm obsessed with perfection, and I would like to get rid of that. I am forcefully putting myself into situations where you can't do perfect things. When you can't, by the way, when you cannot hide your imperfection. That's what I'm trying to do. Um, what I mean by that, I'm intentionally. I don't know why I fight this. By the way, it's to some extent it's stupid. Like I'm causing a lot of trouble for myself. I don't know why I put myself in this situation like this, but anyway, I'm not. Especially these days when you have this, when you have your social profile, your social image, which is exceptionally false because of the filters and the artificial construct that it is. That everything we put out, we think about it like before it. We think about it 10 times before we put out a line to make sure that it properly represents the false image that we try to present or project. That's what we do. So I don't know. I don't know why we're so afraid of being human. I don't know. But me personally, I'm trying to fight it. One way of fighting it is that I'm not cutting my videos. Uh, um, what I mean by that is that if you watch my videos, there are a lot of there are a lot of ways when I just can't find the right word, or I speak too fast, or I just wander around, or whatever. You can see that I'm not a fluent public speaker. I'm far from that. And when I started to make videos, I was always thinking about like, okay, shall I cut it? I know everybody cuts their videos, but I'm like, if this is a philosophy channel, and that's what I'm trying to do here. By the way, not philosophy in a big, ivory tower type of philosophy. I'm talking about like an everyday person philosophy. Um, I cannot cut my videos. Like it is part of the video. It is part of me making mistakes all the time. It is part of me showing them that I'm just a lame human. It doesn't matter what I think about myself. I'm still that simple dude who just makes mistakes all the time. And even though I'm embarrassed about it, I'm fighting because I don't want to embarrass by it. I want to embrace it. By the way, okay, guys, this another thing that I wanted to talk about. Uh, if you have a flaw, we all have, right? You have two ways to deal with it most of the time. One, you try to hide it. This is the I think if you ask me, this is the often uh, uh, most often it's beautiful, right? I can't find the right words. That's the most often used practice in any human's life. That based on my experience. If there's a flaw of any human, they try to hide it because they are embarrassed about it. They want to they want to appear perfect or something like that. That's one way of dealing with it. The other way of doing it and dealing with it, and this is a little bit more advanced approach of how you deal with it. But this is, by the way, this is my advice. That's how we all should deal with all these things. You have to own it. You have to own it. So if you have a flaw, don't try to hide it. Own it. The reason why I'm telling you this, because if you try to hide your flaws, that means you're not accepting who you are to the outside world. You are not fully accepting. You're not fully taking responsibility of your personality. Uh, but you are try to present something that you're not. That's what I believe in. And if you own it, if you own it, if you say, okay, guys, this is my mistake, this is what usually this is my flaw, okay, as a character flaw or whatever, but that's who I am. I don't care if you don't like it. You don't have to like it. You can go. You can leave. You don't have to listen to me. You don't have to talk to me. You don't have to like me. But that is me. If you accept me this way, it's good. I mean, by the way, I'm not doing these things intentionally to harm anyone or hurt anyone. That's not about it. It's just me. And if you can live with that, then you are fully taking responsibility of who you are, and you will see that this is a huge difference in the eye of the others. Uh, Usually, people start to respect those who are brave enough to be themselves. This is my experience. And if you try to hide yourself, then you will just raise suspicion, and that's a very unfortunate thing to have in your life. So my advice is, if you have a flaw that you're really embarrassed about or you're not happy about it, yeah, of course you should fight it probably to get rid of it if you're really embarrassed about it. But the most important part is that you can do is, and if it's like it's such a basic character trait of yourself, it's something that's deep in you, it's really you, then you have to own it. You have to be proud of it. And if you own it, you'll be proud of it, then people's opinion will change about you, about the flaw, and they will start to admire you of as a standout guy. Like, okay, even though he's flawed and he had mistakes, but he still owns it. He's brave enough to take responsibility of that flaw, to represent that flaw. I think that's beautiful. Yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think? I think this will connect to another video that I'll make, which is very interesting. How to own your flaws is, you guys can see, it's not really a secret, I'm bald, okay? I shave my head once a week, and I've been doing this for 20 years. I started to go bald pretty early, and I'll have a different a video about this, because I think it is a very interesting topic. If you never had this problem, you might be wondering, what is it like to go through the whole balding process, and how do you feel about it? I can only tell my own personal story. I don't know how other people deal with this, or they probably didn't even care. But my personal story is it's an interesting story. But again, guys, if you just think about it, you guys saw this many cases, right? When you see a bald people trying to hide they are getting bald, that they just, I don't know, put a wig on, or they try to comb their hair over the bald spot. I've never done this, by the way, and I think that's exactly what I was trying to talk about. Like, you can try to hide it, and that's the basic human reaction to these flaws. Like, you try to hide it. But people will really laugh at you behind your back. That's what's going to happen. And even though, if you would just own it, like, okay, guys, this is me. I'm bald. I'm cool with it. I'm super happy. It's not like I always wanted to be bald, but that's me. Okay, so I'm okay with it. Don't let your flaw break you. This is very, very important. Okay. There are flaws that can break you mentally and psychology, can break your psyche. If they break you mentally, if they break your soul, if they break your personality, that will impact you significantly. And by the way, it will be way bigger than the flaw itself. The flaw might be uncomfortable to some extent for example, for the first sight, but the fact of the flaw can be way worse. If it breaks you and if it has an impact on your personality, you should not let that happen. So just own it. Whatever flaw you have, just own it, guys. That's what I wanted to talk about. So again, obsession. I'm obsessed with perfection. I want to stop doing that because I want to just let things go and give a damn about if things are imperfect. And I don't know if I'm going to achieve that. You guys are going to see, because probably I'll have more video about this. But so far, I'm struggling with it. It's very difficult to let this go. but I'll keep trying. All right, guys. I don't know if you have a story about perfection, if you are also in a similar situation, or what do you think about that. Um, yeah, just let me know your story, guys. Okay, just leave it in the comments. That's it. Thank you, guys.